So on this particular day, it was a hot August day. It was actually the day before I was due to go on vacation. And my wife and kids were already down at the beach. We'd rented a bungalow down at the beach, and they were down there, and they were waiting for me to finish up on a night shift to start my vacation. And I was back in the control house there, sitting at my desk, with my feet up in the desk in my normal night shift position, And I got a call on my radio to go out to one of the manifolds in a refinery to change out a blank. But if you follow this procedure, at least as far as I was concerned, it'd take you half the night to do this job. And there was no way in hell I planned on wasting half my night out there playing around with these blanks. Besides, I knew every shortcut to take. As I said, I did it 1,000 times before. And so did the other operators. So I opened up a little more, leaked a little more. Finally, the leak started to die down. I figured, great, I can finally pull this blank out and get this job over with. I reached over, I grabbed the blank by the stem, and I gave it a heave. And from somewhere in that pipeline, to this day I'm unaware, I got a surge of material. Came gushing out and hit me smack in the eyes, and it ran down all over the front of me. And as I ran down the stairs, I can remember running past my truck, looking at the truck and saying to myself, oh my God, truck's running. Of course, there's a procedure in the refinery that says you never, ever leave a vehicle running because it can become an ignition source. But that's another procedure I never quite followed. I was always jumping in and out of the truck here and there to do a quick job. As I ran past the truck, I could see it coming. I could actually feel it coming. I saw the vapors drifting over to the truck, saw them hit the truck. I saw the truck blow, the whole area blow, and I blew with it. And I was just one great big ball of flames from head to toe. And at one point there, when you get burned, your whole body swells up unbelievably. And at one point, this arm in particular had swollen up to like twice its normal size. I'm not exaggerating when I say that. It was swollen just like that. And the swelling was choking off the blood to a major artery, so I had to relieve the pressure. As I later took a scalpel and I slit my arm from one end to the other. And the blood just shot all over the place. And the pain was horrendous. And they take you out on this special stretcher. There's an overhead crane that comes out, it comes down, picks you up in a stretcher up, and it takes you inside to this room. It's called a tanking room. And what this room is, it's full of these great big stainless steel tanks. They're called Hubbard tanks. They're like great big bathtubs. And they're full of water, Clorox, and different antibiotics. And they take you in that crane, and they lower you down to those tanks. Now, remember before I told you about the pain of being burned over 45 to 50% of your body? Well, that pain is nothing compared to the pain of being lowered down into those tanks. Because what they have to do in there, it's called debriding. And what that is, they have to peel off all of the dead skin. Unfortunately, when they do that, all the live skin comes with it, and the nerve endings come with it. And the screams in that tanking room are horrendous. They told me about the suit that I had to wear. It's called a JOBST suit. It's spelled J-O-B-S-T. And it's a suit that goes literally from head to toe, including a mask for your face. And not one of those sexy masks like the family opera wears, those ugly masks. I actually brought one with me to show you. I don't know if anybody here has ever seen a burn victim before, or somebody that's been facially maimed. See that mask? I have to wear that suit and that mask for 1 solid year. Actually, the first person to get to it there was my mother. Came running to the hospital, took one look at me, said, oh, thank God! That's not my son. My own mother didn't recognize me. Because she spent years crying herself to sleep at night, worrying about me. The hell I put her through! My father was also an incredible guy. And when he came in to see me, I was dying. And believe me, I wanted to die. I'd thoroughly given up on life. I quit. I outright quit. And he knew that. He knew that. He came walking in, he took one look at me and he said, hang in there. Hang in there, son. I know you. I know you can make it. Burn victims have a very high incident rate of alcoholism, drug addiction, suicide, and divorce. And I hit every single one of those things. And I pushed everyone and everything away from me, including my kids. I climbed into a bottle. When my daughter Jennifer died, she had 7 years of sobriety under her belt. But she had done enough damage to her body in the years prior. Both of them turned to alcohol and drugs, by the way. So what's the reason I'm coming here to tell you all this? What's the purpose for all this? The reason is that you can't afford an accident like this. Your families can't afford an accident like this. I get so concerned when I come to a facility, any facility. People are going to sit there and say, well, thank God that'll never happen to me. I don't work in a refinery. I don't work for those blanks. I don't work with those chemicals. The fact that it was an oil refinery, that blank, that job, any of that stuff had absolutely nothing to do with this accident. What caused this accident was my attitude towards safety. My attitude towards safety. And if you have the same attitude towards safety I had, these things will happen to you. Same thing will happen to you.
I was just curious, the emotions of going back to work. Like you said, you went back to work at Exxon.
Yeah.
If you could kind of tell us what that was like and how that transpired and going back to work with Exxon.
Yeah, and I'm walking around, I'm telling guys, put your helmet on, put your glasses on. And nobody but nobody is paying any attention to me. Who can blame with the attitude I had at that time? Finally, one day, there was these 3 guys who had asked 3 days in a row to put their helmets on. I said, come on, get your helmets on. One of the guys turned around and said, hey, Charlie, you never gave a damn and you don't now. And I got mad and I said, sit down. And that was the first miracle of the day. They sat down. And I told them the story I just told you. And it was the first time I ever told the truth about what actually happened that day. And when I got finished telling the story, I felt like somebody lifted a weight off my shoulders. I could finally get on with my life and stop being a victim. And the 3 guys stood up and they put their helmets on. The last guy walking away, his name was Eddie Zuka, the operator back there at Exxon. Eddie turned around and said, hey, Charlie, you ought to tell everybody that story.